It's a chilly April night in the western suburbs of Chicago for Division III college lacrosse here at Langhorse Field. Thanks for joining us on BlueJayTV.com. I'm Jason Doro, and we're in for a good one tonight as Elmhurst College plays host to Concordia University Chicago. The Cougars from Concordia come in at 2-6 and 1-3 in Midwest Women's Lacrosse Conference action. They started the season off pretty well with a 2-2 record, but they're now on a 4-game skid. Here's the thing, though. During that 4-game stretch, they were without sophomore goalkeeper Crystal Phillips, who will return to the cage tonight. And that could be a game changer for these Cougars in the game against Elmhurst. Over for the Bluejays, they're 4-4. They just dropped a game a week ago. They've yet to play any CCIW contests. Today they're looking to get back on track. Before the loss to Loras last Wednesday by a score of 14-9, the Blue Jays did win at Monmouth College back on March 26th by a score of 16-7. So they're 4-4, Concordia is 2-6, and we're just about ready for action here at Langhorse Field. The ball's flipped up, it hits the turf, and we're underway. Blue Jays start with possession here. It's Isabelle Walker racing up the field as the sun sets just west of Langhorse Field. Theresa Marchello controlling now. Isabelle Walker, who came away with that draw control, is one of the players to watch tonight. 26 goals, second on this Elmhurst roster on the season. This is Ellen Brown now, jogging around the arc. No space for her to work. The Blue Jays' offense has been a lot better this season than Concordia's, as Knable, or rather Walker, fires from inside and scores. Walker running around to her left, scoots it past Phillips for the first goal of the game. Goal number 27 on the year for Isabelle Walker, not too far behind Grace Knable, who leads the team with 37. And that's exactly the note that Allison Brady drew up to start this ballgame. Brady in her 4th season as the head coach of Elmhurst Women's Lacrosse. Assumed that role in 2015 and registered a 9-9 record in her first season. Things got tougher from there. Her overall record coming into the year was 11-36. But this year they're sitting at 500 and looking to move above that 500 mark with this game tonight. So 1-0 Elmhurst after the goal from Walker. And now we'll see if the Blue Jays can keep it rolling on the offensive end. This is Ellen Brown. Brown, a junior midfielder from LaGrange, Illinois. Back to Walker, double team. She's got space again and bounces it in. Back-to-back goals for the freshman. Walker finds the net twice within 42 seconds to start this ballgame. Walker has been a stud this year for Elmhurst in just her freshman campaign. The second leading scorer behind only Grace Knable, and she's put Elmhurst up 2-0. We were briefly talking about Elmhurst's offensive production as compared to Concordia's, and it's been much better. 11.6 goals per game for the Blue Jays as compared to the Cougars' 6.8, just a little shy of 7. This time Concordia has won the draw, though. Their first real possession of the contest. Sidney Fuller possesses the ball here, well outside the fan. Fuller with 12 goals, 15 assists on the year. This Cougar team is 1-2 away from River Forest. Not a far drive for them to make their way to Langhorse Field here tonight. An extra possession here. Margaret Doan inside. We await the call from the officials, and this will be a goal. Margaret Doan scores her 15th goal of the year. She leads this Cougar squad in goals this season. Excuse me, that's actually her 19th goal. She came in with 18. Or rather, Keller has 18, Doan has 14. So Doan moves to 15 on the year. Second most on this Elmhurst roster, behind only Anna Keller. It's kind of a three-headed attack for this Cougar team between Keller, Doan, and then Sidney Fuller. Each came in with at least a dozen goals on the year. So 2-1 after Doan scores. And again, Concordia has taken the draw. Even in the draw so far, 2 for each side. Sidney LaTurner here. Flips it off far side. Just a light breeze coming in from the west as this pass is intercepted. A breakaway opportunity here for the Bluejays. Great vision by the defensive line for Elmhurst to cause that turnover. And then a successful clear as well, getting down into the opposite end here. Isabelle Walker possesses, tosses inside. Theresa Marchello thought about a shot, then spun out of it. And now she'll have a free position opportunity off the foul. Looking to move the Elmhurst lead back to 2 goals. Her bounce shot a little wide. It bounces out of bounds on the very end of the field. Remains Elmhurst ball. Another move inside and a goal. Grayskin Knable on the scoreboard for the first time tonight, extending the Elmhurst lead to 3-1. Knable had 5 goals and 9 draw controls in Elmhurst's loss against Loras last Wednesday. And here she has a goal in the first 4 minutes of the contest, making it 3-1 Blue Jays. It's been kind of a back and forth year for Elmhurst so far. Won their first 2 games of the year against Beloit and Olivet. Then they dropped one to St. Mary's, beat Trine by a score of 12-8, so they were 3-1 at one point. But then they lost back-to-back games at Hanover and Virginia Wesleyan, moving them to 3-3. Their last 2 games have been a win at Monmouth and a loss against Loras here at home. So 4-4 in the year, looking to move above 500 against this 2-6 Concordia squad. And it looks like Elmhurst will take their time offensively here. The patient approach has worked so far. Ellen Brown inside. The double team came, and that will be a shooting space violation. The Cougars a little late helping out. So Brown will now sit at the top of the 8-meter arc, looking to make it 4-1. Brown charges and finds the back of the net. 3 different Blue Jays have already scored, and Elmhurst leads 4-1. That's just Brown's 3rd goal of the year. And so far, it's been a rather Spread out attack for these Blue Jays. Knable tends to dominate this offense along with Isabelle Walker. But 3 different players have scored already tonight in less than 5 minutes. We might be in for a high-scoring affair here. 4-1 Elmhurst. As we mentioned in the open, Concordia has sophomore keeper Crystal Phillips back in the cage tonight. Phillips played all 240 minutes in the first 4 contests of the year, averaged 9.5 goals against per game, saved 50% of the shots that she faced in those 4 games, but she has not appeared in the last 4 contests for Concordia. And it's hurt these Cougars a whole lot because they started the season 2-2, feeling pretty good at the open of the 2018 season. But they've gone 0-4 in their last 4 without Phillips in the net. And their goals against during that time period jumped to 14.25. It jumped to over 14 from a mark that was previously 9.5. And if the Elmhurst offense continues its ways that they've had so far tonight, they should eclipse 9.5 goals this evening. 4-1 the score as Concordia works it forward. This is Jessica James. And now Sidney Fuller on the near side. Fuller has triggered this offense, at least when the Cougars have had opportunities. Lobs that one inside. Anna Keller. She didn't have the angle. Again, they're looking for Keller, but the Blue Jays intercept it, knock it to the ground, and gain possession. Expect this Concordia team to seek out Keller a lot tonight. Leads the team in goals with 18, second on the team in assists with 5. She's also second on the squad in ground balls and caused turnovers, and third in draw controls. Loose ball bouncing toward the Elmhurst restraining line. And now Isabelle Walker has a one-on-one. Fires with the left. It's saved this time by Phillips. A good snag by the keeper. Walker was looking for goal number 3 on the evening. So now Concordia looking for the clear. Sidney Fuller flinging it upfield. And the Blue Jays scoop it up. Back and forth we go at Langhorse Field here in the western suburbs of Chicago. On a very cold night, we're sitting around 30 degrees here in Elmhurst. Walker with another chance. Bounced this one too high. It looked like the ball got stuck in the stick just a little bit too long. This is Knable, tripped up inside the 8-meter and dropped to the ground. Excuse me, Tessa Sellington, rather. Not Grace Knable. And Sellington will be set up with a free position shot here. Sellington, a freshman out of New Lenox, Illinois. Just 1 goal on the season, looking to double that total. She has a hit. It's a little bit low and bounced away by Phillips. Good job to deflect it out. Sellington regains possession and gets rid of the ball. Back to Walker. Walker dashing inside. Drives the bounce shot off the crossbar. That's 2 now that Walker has bounced a little too high. But on the ladder, she has to feel rather unlucky for it to catch the crossbar and deflect away from the cage. Here comes Margaret Doan. She's fouled. Or rather, they whistle Concordia here, and the ball goes back to Elmhurst. Doan has the only Concordia goal so far tonight, as they trail by 3. Less than a third of the way through period number 1. Elmhurst scanning this Cougar defense. Grayskin Knable analyzing, looking for her spot to attack. Here she comes. And a whistle on the drive will set her up. Presumably with a free position shot. And yeah, she'll get to attack from straight away. Knable with 1 goal tonight. Needs just 2 more to eclipse the 40 mark on the season. Here comes Knable. Shot low, saved. Phillips with the beauty of a kick save to keep the ball out of the net. Now it's loose in front of the cage. And Elmhurst will bat it in. A loose ball in front of the net was knocked around and eventually swiped in by an Elmhurst player to make it 5-1. And a steady Elmhurst attack is on pace for 30 goals tonight. I'm not saying they're going to hit that. It's a tough pace to maintain. But they are out to a raging start. And it was Ellen Brown who finished that one off. 2 goals for Brown on the evening. Doubling her season total. She came in with just a pair. And she is quickly moving up the Elmhurst scoring chart this season. A loose ball and a foul off the draw here. The foul against Concordia, who is playing a physical game here tonight. They had a surprising whistle on their last possession that gave the ball back to Elmhurst and eventually led to the Brown goal. This is Brown evading defenders and eventually getting past the restraining line. Elmhurst out to a convincing edge, which includes a 13-2 edge in the shots department. Brown hits the deck, double-teamed well outside the fan. Now gets rid of it. And another whistle against the Cougars. Bluejays up 4-0 in free position shots, 4-2 in ground balls. And they've also forced 2 turnovers tonight. Knable dishes it off. Walker rips from inside, but again saved by Phillips. Although Elmhurst has 5 goals in this game, Phillips has been great in the cage. She's racking up the saves. She's already got 5 tonight. She's saved half of the shots that she's faced. But her defense is putting her in difficult positions. A bounce shot here from Ellen Brown. An easy save for Crystal Phillips, who will probably see her goals against average rise tonight, but the save percentage might stay just where it is. She came in at 50%. 6 saves already for the sophomore out of Melbourne, Florida. Walker sprinting past her defender, eventually slowed up. 2 goals tonight for the freshman out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. Walker was an academic All-State honoree as a junior and senior in high school. Not much of a surprise that she's succeeding in her freshman campaign with Elmhurst. Brown double-teamed. A stick in her face, and she continues to retreat toward the restraining line. Zips it over to Walker. Gets some space. She continues to try the low shot. Another kick save for Phillips, who lost it momentarily, then scooped it up. And even though Phillips didn't see that one, she racks up another save. She's got 7 on the night. Here come the Cougars on the other end. Sydney Fuller racing in the middle, then giving it off to Anna Keller, who's double-teamed. And you can tell that Elmhurst has the scouting report on these Cougars. There are 2 bodies running towards Keller and Fuller when they touch the ball. Keller leading this team in goals with 18. Fuller third on the squad with 12 entering tonight. Fuller behind the cage. Now on the far side with 30 to shoot. Concordia wanting to use this possession wisely. But they will not produce a goal. Only 2 shots tonight for the Cougars, compared to Elmhurst's 17. Still plenty early here at Langhorse Field. Half number 1. Thanks for joining us on Bluejay TV. I'm Jason Doro. The producer is Glenn Liljeberg, and the director is Ashley. A big thank you to both of them for their work behind the scenes tonight to bring you this evening's action from Langhorse Field. Walker, double-teamed. Flips it over to a teammate in the middle. It's Brown who finishes it off. Brown has a hat trick, 3 goals for the junior from LaGrange. Brown comes into this game with just 2 goals on the year, and she's scored 3 tonight. A scintillating performance from the junior just 14 minutes in. Brown entered tonight 6th on the team in goals with just 2. She's jumped up to 5th with the 3 she has this evening. And with the run that Elmhurst is currently on, Concordia will use a timeout. 6-1 the score. Elmhurst leads almost halfway through half number 1. And it's Brian Patterson using a timeout for Concordia, the 3rd-year head coach of these Cougars. He went 0-17 in the inaugural year of the program. That was 2016. Built them up last year, went 6-11 in 2017. And you can see that this program is moving in the right direction. They have the needle going in the positive way, as they're 2-6 this year and have played some competitive games. They lost a game 7-8 against Cornell College in River Forest. They've had some tight ones. Also beat Beloit 12-10. Beat Concordia 12-9. And when they've had Crystal Phillips in net, they've been a pretty solid squad. They're 2-2 in those games, allowing just 9.5 goals per game when she is in the net. The struggle has been more offensively because they have less than 7 goals per game on the year. They shoot a little under 33%, while their opponents are shooting above 42%. So they have to get it going offensively if they are to turn around this season. Over on Elmhurst's side, they've been pretty even between offense and defense. They shoot 42% to the 41% that they give up to opponents. They're scoring 11.6 goals per game while giving up just below 12. Maybe something to improve would be the clear percentage, because on the year they're sitting at 66.5% and opponents are clearing over 74%. Once they get it past the restraining line and have a chance to set up their offense, Elmhurst has been pretty stellar this year. Knable, Walker have both showed that they're great goal scorers. We've seen it already tonight. Walker with a pair, Knable with one. And Ellen Brown has chipped in 3 already. So if they bump that clear percentage up from 66% and don't turn the ball over quite as much, they're definitely in for more W's this year. It was one of the areas where they faltered in their game against Loras last Wednesday, too. Lost that one 14-9, fell in the turnover battle 36-27, but they won the draw 16-9. So that shows if they can be great in the draw, this is a deadly team. Concordia with a rare opportunity here. Missed it a little wide. And Elmhurst has possession back. But here's exactly what we were talking about. Can they clear it? Can they get it up the field to the offensive end? And that will be unsuccessful. Concordia with the ball back. It was Leslie Betancourt starting the Cougar offense. The sun setting here on this end of the field on a very cold night. No precipitation this evening, which I'm sure the players love because it's sitting around 30 degrees. As the Cougars lose it inside the fan. They're able to scoop it back up, though. Again, it's Leslie Betancourt recovering the LaCrosse ball. And now some of the Cougar fans that have made their way to Langhorse Field from River Forest making some noise. One of the few games where you're bound to see plenty of fans from both sides, since River Forest is just 10 miles east of here, a short trip for Concordia to make for a little non-conference action. Although these teams are so close to each other, they're not in the same conference. Elmhurst in the CCIW. They have not played any conference games this year. On the other side, Concordia is in the Midwest Women's Lacrosse Conference, which consists of a dozen teams spread out between Illinois, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Hamlin, and Augsburg. Both schools that are up in Minneapolis are both undefeated in MWLC play. Concordia currently sits at 1-3 in 10th place. To give you an idea, though, here are some of the other schools in the conference. Concordia University, Wisconsin, Loras, Illinois Tech, Aurora, Benedictine, Wartburg, Beloit. A chance offensively here for Elmhurst, and again, they find pay dirt. (7-1) Bluejays. Larissa Arvanitas scores this time. The freshman from Las Vegas, Nevada. Angled inside and scored. Arvanitas is coming off a pretty good game herself. Had a couple goals in the loss to Loras last Wednesday. She's now got 10 on the season. And Elmhurst has taken the draw as well. Elmhurst on the season hasn't been great in the draw. 41%. But in these last couple of games, they've been great. Won the draw 16-9 against Loras last Wednesday. Tonight they're up 6-3 in the draw. Pass inside, shot, goal. The Elmhurst offense can't be stopped right now. And there was some great passing leading to that goal. Excellent teamwork between these Blue Jays. And they lead 8-1. Larissa Arvanitis with another goal. Back-to-back goals for the freshman. The Blue Jay offense firing on all cylinders. Up 8-1. 3 different Blue Jays have multiple goals. 5 different Blue Jays have scored. Ellen Brown leads the way with a hat trick. Long pass up the field. Sellington collects. Turned and lost the ball. Sellington would have been the 6th Blue Jay to score had she finished that one off. That's a beautiful pass upfield as Concordia clears it the other way. A 3-on-3 opportunity for the Cougars. Long shot from the 8-meter out of the stick of Jessica James, a defender who had made her way upfield. And a great stop from Megan Keener. This has been an easy day at the office for Megan Keener so far. 2 saves, 1 goal against her. She's only faced 3 shots. But Concordia is looking up to ratchet up the offense now. Sidney Fuller at the top, a junior out of Bristol, Indiana. She passes inside. A high shot from a Cougar goes wide. And it remains 8-1. Sometimes it's the Cougars just losing possession. But on their last couple chances, it's been that the shots have been off. Inaccurate. And they're having a tough time getting it to their best scorers. But of course, no one on this Concordia team has scored it at a rate similar to Grayskin Knable or Isabelle Walker this season. Elmhurst turn on offense here. Up 8-1. Walker passes inside. Gets away from a Blue Jay. They regain possession. Nice spin by Knable. Shot deflected, bounced away. Concordia strips the ball back, looking for another clear. Pass gets away from Doan. Loose ball near midfield. Scooped up by the Cougars, and they will clear it. LaTurner hits the deck. No whistle comes. It's Blue Jay ball. And they have numbers upfield. Pass to the far side. Sellington looking for her first goal tonight. Rips it a little wide. Sellington with 1 goal on the year. She's had a couple looks this evening. Looking to become the 5th Blue Jay that has scored tonight. Pass inside. Shot from Marchello saved. Good work by Phillips, who hasn't necessarily been a stone wall in net, but she's saved more than 50% of the shots that she's faced. 9 saves, 8 goals. And you take those numbers if you're Brian Patterson, the head coach of Concordia. Save percentage above 50% is nothing to be ashamed of. Now the Cougars need to get the offense going. Again, Elmhurst forces a turnover. Here they come, trying to end a little scoring drought. Walker whips it at the keeper, again sent away by Phillips, who shakes off her leg. She's seen a lot of shots come low and hit her below the knee. If anything, she's keeping Concordia in the game. 8-1 the scoreline here in half number 1. Just under 8 minutes to play until recess. Fuller. Sidewinds, stopped by Keener. It lays on the ground, but it's a goal. Keener got a piece, but it wasn't enough. And Concordia has their second goal of the night. It comes from Sidney Fuller, the junior from Bristol, Indiana, who moves her goal total to 13 on the year and brings Concordia within 6. The first Concordia goal came with 27:37 on our first half clock. So that was almost a 20-minute scoring drought for the Cougars. And they surely cannot afford another one of those tonight. They'll have to pick it up offensively if they want back in this ballgame. And they could start right here in the draw. Elmhurst holds a 7-3 edge in the draw control. Knable stabbing this one and scooping it up. Let's see if the Blue Jays push. Allison Brady has options here. Do you decide to go all out with this offense that is thriving on a chilly night in April, or do you slow them down and say, hey, my team has a 6-goal lead. Let's be semi-content, not give the other team a lot of opportunities offensively. And it looks like that's what they're doing right now. Patient offense. Waiting for a good look at the cage. Ball on the turf. Walker chasing and collecting with 30 seconds on the shot clock. Now behind the cage. Shot on goal. Knocked down by Phillips and kept out of the net. She's doing whatever she can to get a piece of her body on the ball. And again, it pays off there. 11 saves for Phillips. She could be staring down a huge number of saves this evening. She's on pace for over 20. In fact, closer to 30. With more than 5 minutes to play here in half number 1. Fuller across the restraining line, having just scored a goal for Concordia. Elmhurst was on a 6-0 run. Their largest lead was 7 and 8-1. Anna Keller whips it from well outside the range in which we normally see Concordia take shots. That was out near the 8-meter arc. Keller decided to take a chance anyway. It remains Concordia ball with just 5 seconds to shoot. They need to get one off here. Pass inside and a goal. Margaret Doan collecting the pass right in front of Megan Keener and then ripping it past her to make it 8-3. Sidney LaTurner delivered the ball to Doan, so she'll be credited with an assist.
Concordia goal scorer number 5, Margaret Doan, assist of number 14, Sidney LaTurner.
It's Doan's second goal of the night. She now has 16 on the season. Inching closer toward Anna Keller, who leads the team with 18. And as we creep toward halftime, Concordia has put together a little 2-0 run. The Bluejays come away with the draw. It's Ellen Brown, who has been a stud this evening. 3 goals for her on 6 shots. She's also had 2 draw controls and a ground ball. Brown part of the senior leadership on this team, a junior. Grayskin Knable, the leading scorer, is a senior. And after losing last Wednesday to Loras, 2 of these more experienced players have stepped up this evening for Elmhurst. Knable spins inside and scores. Knable oscillating past her defender and then sneaking it past Phillips to make it 9-3. Knable gets her second goal of the night. She now has 39 on the year, leading the team. Last year she had 40, so she's just 2 away from topping that mark. She has been a prolific scorer in the 2 seasons that she's been an attacker for this Elmhurst team, because she started off as a goalkeeper. In fact, in 2015 and 2016, she played every single minute in goal for Elmhurst. Totaled a 9-9 record in 2015 and a save percentage of just over 45. And she was even 4th in the CCIW with 7.67 saves per game. The following season, her save percentage went up. The team's performance went down a little bit as they went 4-12. But since she's been an attacker, she's been great. 40 goals last year, 39 draw controls, 28 caused turnovers, so she's still contributing on the defensive end, kind of. And this year she's been even better with the 39 goals and shooting almost 47%. Brown angles inside, then zips back out to give it off to Walker. She flips it inside. The Bluejay loses it. The ball slips back out, just outside the fan, where they reset with 20 seconds on the shot clock. Down to 10 seconds to shoot. Walker dashing inside and ripping it past Phillips. 10 goals for Elmhurst in the first half. Isabelle Walker with a hat trick. And the Bluejays have guns blazing this evening.
Elmhurst goal scored on assist by number 21, Isabelle Walker.
Walker now has 29 goals on the season. And she and Knable are both shooting outstanding percentages. Walker came in making more than 45% of her shots. That percentage might dip a little this evening as she's taken 9 shots and scored 3 times, but Allison Brady will take it. She will most certainly take this first half performance. Just over 2 minutes until halftime, and Elmhurst leads by 7. A brief pause here from the officials. The Blue Jays 4-4 on the year. Have not yet played a conference game, but they've been good at home. A 2-1 record here at Langhorse Field. And with the way things are going this evening, it should be 3-1. On the other side for Concordia, 2-6 overall, 1-3 in MWLC play, and 1-2 on the road. A tough matchup for this evening against Elmhurst, but it's not like they had to travel too far. We've got a whistle here. And the violation by Elmhurst will give Concordia a free position shot on the far side. It looks like this is Sidney Fuller lining up to try to end the Elmhurst 2-0 streak. She sprints inside and scores. A few cheers for Sidney Fuller, who is putting this Concordia team on her back late in the first half.
Concordia goals, scored on assist of number 26, Sidney Fuller.
2 goals for Fuller, 2 goals for Doan. And although Elmhurst leads by 6, the end of this first half has leaned Concordia's way. Currently on a 3-2 run. They were down 8-1, scored a pair to make it 8-3. Elmhurst scored another pair to make it 10-3. And then Fuller nets that one to make it 10-4. Just 2 minutes left until the break, and Concordia takes another draw. Looks like the wind has picked up a little bit, blowing from west to east into the faces of these Concordia players as they move from right to left. Trailing by 6. Megan Keener in the cage for Elmhurst has 3 saves tonight. Not nearly as many as Crystal Phillips on the other side, who has a dozen, but of course Phillips has faced so many more shots. The Elmhurst offense has provided a steady, consistent flow of shots in the face of Phillips, while Concordia has struggled to work it inside the fan. That's the other thing, is a lot of their shots have come near the 8-meter. Just low percentage looks for them. 25 for the Cougars to shoot. Now they have it inside the 8-meter, but they're forced to push it back out. That was Margaret Doan. Doan now scooping it up and giving it off with a dozen seconds to shoot. Nifty passing and a goal. Anna Keller. Keller collects 4 or 5 meters out and then shoots it past Keener for another goal. So 2 goals for Concordia, 2 goals for Elmhurst, and now 2 goals for Concordia again. A little 4-2 run for the Cougars as we near halftime. Doan now has 3 on the night. The junior from Glen Ellen has 17 goals on the year, just 1 away from Anna Keller. Excuse me, that was Keller scoring the last one, so Doan still has 2 on the night, While Keller scores her first of the evening, the senior from Collinsville now has 19 on the year. She leads the team in goals, and she's second on the roster in a bunch of other statistics, including assists, ground balls, and caused turnovers. One more chance maybe for Concordia before recess. Ball on the ground in front of the cage. Keener scoops it up, and she'll jog behind the net, trying to waste the rest of this clock. Now a long pass upfield. Apparently Elmhurst isn't done just yet. The Blue Jays racing across the restraining line. They have just 3 seconds until halftime, and they will not utilize what little time they had left. So that brings us to the break with Elmhurst up by 5 here at Langhorse Field. A very steady attack from the Blue Jays included 3 goals from Isabelle Walker and 3 from Ellen Brown. Knable and Arvanitas both had 2 in the first half. Then we break with Elmhurst up by 5. So we'll come back in about 10 minutes here on Bluejay TV and bring you half number 2 from Langhorse Field. Again, your halftime score, Elmhurst 10, Concordia 5. Elmhurst College in the western suburbs of Chicago, where the Elmhurst Blue Jays lead the Concordia Cougars by a score of 10-5 at halftime. We're just moments away from half number 2. Thanks for joining us here on Bluejay TV. I'm Jason Doro. Our producer is Glenn Liljeberg, and our director Ashley is doing a great job behind the camera. A big thank you to both of them for bringing you all the best shots of tonight's action. To recap half number 1 for you really quickly, Elmhurst dominated in the shots department, 27-13. Megan Keener has had an really easy night in the cage for the Blue Jays, facing just 9 shots because 4 of those 13 were wide. She's made 4 saves. And on the offensive end for Elmhurst, they have 2 different players with hat tricks. Isabelle Walker has 3 goals, as does Ellen Brown. Grace Knable has a pair, and so does Larissa Arvanitas. So 4 different players with multiple goals this evening for Elmhurst. They led by as much as 7. Led 8-1 earlier in this game. Concordia put up back-to-back goals to make it 8-3. Elmhurst responded with a pair of their own to make it 10-3. And then Concordia closed out the half with another 2 to make it 10-5. So there was some fight in the Cougars before recess to keep it close. But overall, that first half belonged to the Blue Jays. On Concordia's side, Anna Keller had a goal. Margaret Doan had 2. And then Sidney Fuller had 2 as well. And that's exactly what we expected. The top 3 goal scorers for Concordia, the only ones that have put it in the back of the net. First possession of half number 2 here for Concordia, and that shot a little bit high. Doan collected right in front of the net and tried to find the top of the cage past Keener. And the shot was just a little bit errant, so possession back to the Blue Jays. Look at some more of our first half stats. Elmhurst led 12-7 in ground balls, 10-7 in the draw. And they only turned it over 5 times to Concordia's 9. And that's a great sign for these Blue Jays because turnovers have been one of the biggest issues this year. The team only clearing 66% of their opportunities. And they lost the turnover battle 36-27 in the last game against Loras. And the offensive production continues here. Elmhurst rips one past Crystal Phillips, and it's 11-5 Blue Jays. It's Ellen Brown again. Brown with 4 on the night. She came into this game with just 2 goals on the season. She's tripled her season total with 4 tonight. She now has 6. And she's just rocketing up the Elmhurst scoring leaderboard on the season. Only 4 Blue Jays came into this game with more than 3 goals on the year. Knable has 37 coming into tonight. Walker had 26 entering this game. Kaylee Miller a dozen. Larissa Arvanitis 9. And now Ellen Brown is quickly closing in on those 4 with her 4 goals this evening. A couple of rare draw control wins for Concordia to start off this half. Let's see if they can make them pay off. This is Fuller flipping it inside. Ball on the turf. Bounced around and a whistle. And this will be against the Cougars, it looks like. Yeah, the foul's on Jessica James, the senior defenseman who went to Wakanda High School. Let's see if Elmhurst can clear. Ball rolling toward the restraining line. And sure enough, Elmhurst will clear this time. Allison Brady's squad up by 6 early in half number 2. Brady in her 4th season as the head coach of Elmhurst women's lacrosse. Took over at the program's inception in 2015. Her first season, she went 9-9, but has had a tough go of it since then. Last year went 2-15 as the Bluejays turn it over here. This season looking much better. 4-4 on the year. Haven't yet played a conference game in the College Conference of Illinois and Wisconsin. Ball on the ground picked up by the Bluejays just outside the fan, and they'll reset the offense with a fresh shot clock. But yeah, 4-4 overall, 2-1 at home here at Langhorse Field, a record that they could build on tonight. And the season's just been kind of back and forth. They were 3-1 at one point, with wins against Beloit, Olivet, and Trine. But then they lost a pair to Hanover and Virginia Wesleyan before a win against Monmouth and a loss to Loras last Wednesday. Grayskin Knable had 5 goals and 9 draw controls in that loss to Loras College. Still plenty of time to operate here for Elmhurst. Theresa Marchello on the near side, dancing around. Now dishes to the top for Knable, this season's leading goal scorer for Elmhurst. She had a 40-goal season last year. She's almost matched that mark this season. 20 seconds now for the Bluejays to put one on the cage. It's knocked away right by Phillips. There's a whistle, and it's against the Bluejays. So Concordia takes the ball back on an unfruitful possession for Elmhurst. One in which they really didn't even put a shot on the net, which has been rare this evening. And the ball slips out of the stick of Sidney LaTurner in the midfield. She had no clue that it slipped out as she was racing upfield. And now the Bluejays have the ball in the offensive third again. We were talking about Grayskin Knable, who has 2 goals tonight, 39 on the year, a player who was a goalkeeper in her first 2 seasons here at Elmhurst. In fact, played every single minute of the season in goal in both 2015 and 2016. And she was pretty good. Save percentage of above 45 in both of those 2 years, as there's a whistle and it looks like a free position shot is coming here for Elmhurst. They moved Knable to attacker, and it's paid dividends. 79 goals in 2 seasons, and this one is far from over. Another chance for Elmhurst here. A free position shot. The hesitation move and a score. 12-5 Bluejays. That's your LaCrosse equivalent of an and one. The officials blowing the whistle and throwing the flag up as the Bluejays attack the cage and still finish it off.
Elmhurst first goal, her 40th of the season. Scoreboard.
And that is Grace Knable registering her 40th goal of the season, matching her total from last season, and extending the Elmhurst lead to 12-5. So 40 last year, 40 this year, and still so much lacrosse left to be played. 7 games left on the 2018 slate. The Blue Jays will play in Waukesha, Wisconsin at Carroll University this upcoming Saturday. And then they play home again next Wednesday against Illinois Wesleyan in a doubleheader. The women will play at 4:30 here at Langhorse Field, and then the men will play at 7:30 later that night. And then still 5 more games after those two for Elmhurst. So Grace Knable could be on her way to a prolific season here in Elmhurst. Meanwhile, another storyline this evening has been Crystal Phillips in goal for Concordia. She's faced a whole lot of shots, and she scoops it up here. The innocent ball in front of the cage, corralled by the keeper and flung up the field. That's a great outlet pass by Phillips, springing the Concordia offense into the offensive third. Now let's see if they can settle. Yeah, Sidney Fuller picks it up, and they'll slow down this offense. We were talking about Phillips, though, the sophomore goalkeeper from Melbourne, Florida, who played all 240 minutes in the cage in the first 4 Concordia games this season, as the Cougars move on net, lose the ball, and pick it back up. Anna Keller regaining possession and giving off to Sidney LaTurner. But Concordia was pretty good in those first 4 games with Phillips in net. They went 2-2. They gave up just 9.5 goals per game. In the last 4 games, they've given up over 14 goals per contest, and they've won on a 4-game losing streak. Nice pass inside to Keller. Her shot deflected, and the Blue Jays take it away. Keller packs some heat on that shot. The leading goal scorer on the season for Concordia. Couldn't finish, though. Just over 7 minutes into half number 2. Thanks for joining us on Bluejay TV. As Elmhurst looks to move to 5-4 on the year and improve their mark here at home to 3-1. No space for Knable to operate. Double teamed inside the fan. Ball on the ground and picked up by the Cougars. That's stellar defense, knowing when to double team Knable. When she faces away, the second defender comes and forces the turnover. But Concordia can't clear. They turn it over in the midfield. Isabelle Walker racing past defenders and then firing wide. The Blue Jays take back possession behind the cage, still leading by 7. It has been an offensive onslaught for Elmhurst tonight. 30 shots to Concordia's 15, leading to 12 goals. Brown has 4, Knable 3, Walker 3, Arvanitas 2. Still plenty of time on the shot clock. That shot blocked. Another great save by Phillips. And now a whistle inside the 8-meter. It's against Elmhurst. Blue Jays on a 2-0 run. We've had 4 consecutive 2-0 runs, 2 by Concordia, 2 by Elmhurst. Back and forth they've gone in the middle of this game after Elmhurst led by a score of 8-1. Inside the 8-meter, a great pass and a great shot leading to a goal for Concordia. A perfect pass just inside the 8-meter, leading to the goal for the Cougars, who cut into the Elmhurst lead, making it 12-6. And it looks like Brian Patterson is unloading the bench a little bit here after that goal. Kayla Walker entering, as well as Hannah Johnson. And now Elmhurst will use a timeout following the goal. So 12-6 the score here at Langhorst Field. In non-conference action between Elmhurst and Concordia University Chicago. We appreciate you coming aboard here on BlueJayTV.com. I'm Jason Doro. The producer is Glenn Liljeberg, and the director is Ashley. A big thank you both of their way as they give you all the best shots and production behind the scenes of this game tonight. That last goal was scored by Sidney LaTurner, a freshman out of Crown Point, Indiana. It's her 4th goal of the year. She's played in every single contest, but not necessarily a big offensive threat for this Cougar team. Concordia is 2-6 on the year. 1-3 in conference play, 1-4 at home, 1-2 away. They compete in the Midwest Women's Lacrosse Conference. If you're not familiar, it's filled mostly with teams in Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Illinois. And they've gone 1-3 in that conference play as mentioned. To give you an idea of some of the other teams they're competing against, Hamlin and Augsburg, both schools up in Minneapolis, are currently atop the conference, undefeated at 4-0 and 3-0 respectively. They also play Concordia, Wisconsin, Loras, Illinois Tech, Aurora, Cornell, Benedictine, Wartburg, Monmouth, and Beloit. Now CCIW play, if you're an Elmhurst fan and paying attention to how they're faring in conference action, CCIW play hasn't even gotten started for these Blue Jays. They'll have to work on that record in the latter portion of this season. The teams that Elmhurst faces in conference action are Carroll, North Central, Carthage, Dubuque, Augustana, and Illinois Wesleyan. And they'll be up against it because all of those teams are above 500 this year. Carroll 8-0, North Central 9-1, Carthage 7-3, Dubuque 4-2. Augustana 6-3, and Illinois Wesleyan 6-4. Elmhurst is the lone team in the CCIW at or below 500, but it'll be a completely new season when CCIW action starts because conference play is all that matters when it comes to conference standings. So here we go, back underway after the timeout from Allison Brady and Elmhurst. And Concordia's got the ball again. They've done pretty well in the draw in the second half. And they have a free position opportunity here. Sidney Fuller lined up. The Blue Jays quickly collapsed on her and forced her back out to reset the Cougar offense. The gap in the draw, as we were saying, though, is now 11-9. Concordia down by just 2 after Elmhurst dominated the draw in most of half number 1. Pass inside, shot, goal. Sidney LaTurner with back-to-back goals for the Cougars. And the short 2-0 runs continue. These teams have fired 2-0 runs back and forth at each other since it was 8-1. Elmhurst was up 8-1 late in the first half. Concordia scored a pair to make it 8-3. Elmhurst responded with 2 to make it 10-3. And before halftime, Concordia scored 2 to make it 10-5. Elmhurst came out of the break with some great offense to go up 12-5. Now 2 goals for Concordia to make it 12-7. So a very close battle here between these two teams, at least since Elmhurst's hot start to this game. Overall, the Bluejays have well outplayed this Concordia squad. Here they come again, though, after winning another draw. We're seeing some great stamina and fight from the Cougar team in the latter portion of this contest. Margaret Doan flips it off far side, and that pass was a little bit wild, but the Cougars can track it down. Doan has 2 goals tonight, one of 3 different Cougars who have scored multiple goals this evening. Sidney LeTurner and Sidney Fuller being the other 2. This is Fuller with a high pass lobbed inside and intercepted. Great defense by the Bluejays. It's poked out in the midfield. It was Taylor Davitt with the interception, who was sprinting upfield and then had it knocked away. She'll restart play here and dish off to Ellen Brown. Brown has been the star of the evening with 4 goals on 7 shots. All 7 of those shots on goal, too. She's also recorded 4 draw controls. And the most impressive part is she's not an integral part of this Elmhurst offense. She scored just 2 goals coming into this season, or into this game, excuse me. Knable and Isabelle Walker are the primary offensive outlets for this Elmhurst team. Good help defense and another save by Crystal Phillips to keep Elmhurst from scoring there. Concordia looking for the clear now. As Hannah Johnson scoops it up at midfield, has it knocked away, and possession goes back to the Bluejays. Stealthy defense by Elmhurst to force the turnover. Now let's see if the Bluejays can spell the 2-0 run by Concordia. Ball loose inside. Picked up by Tessa Sellington. Sellington has had a couple of decent looks tonight. She has not scored, though. The Bluejays continue to seek her out offensively, at least every now and then. Brown waiting patiently behind the cage. Dishes it off. 27 seconds for the Bluejays to shoot here. Isabelle Walker to trigger. Double teamed just outside the 8 meter. Gives for Brown. Brown, who has 4 goals tonight, also shovels it off. Knable double teamed. Knable, bodies all over her. Spins and fires wide. Knable really does not care how many different hands and sticks are pressed up against her. She's still willing to take a shot. That time she kind of had to, with the shot clock dwindling away. So 12-7 still the score, as the Bluejays steal it behind the cage, a location where you really cannot turn the ball over if you're Concordia. Luckily for the Cougars, Elmhurst does not make them pay right away. Brown was willing to slow it up and let the rest of her team make it back up the field. And that's surprising. She could have gone right to the cage and tried to score. But then again, when you're up 5, Allison Brady's squad is happy to milk this clock. Brady and the Blue Jays coming off a 2-15 season. They went 1-5 in conference play last year. This year they're 4-4 overall, working their way toward a much better 2018 season. Again, Concordia cannot clear. The Blue Jays have a fresh shot clock again. They're charging on the net, and they score again. Lots of offensive fireworks this evening for both sides. But the Blue Jays have produced them in higher volumes. And they've gone back up by 6 halfway through the second half.
Elmhurst goal, her 30th of the season, scored by number 21, Isabelle Walker.
This one scored by Isabelle Walker. Walker nets her 4th goal of the night. 30 on the season for her now. Just 10 behind Grayskin Knable. So 70 goals between Knable and Isabelle Walker on the season. Over on the other side for Concordia, their whole team has 62 this year. So there are 2 stories to be told there. Not only are Grayskin Knable and Isabelle Walker phenomenal offensive players, the Concordia offense has struggled this year, averaging under 7 goals per game. But you have to give these 2 stars for Elmhurst a whole lot of credit for how they've spearheaded the Elmhurst offense this year. Tonight they've got some excellent help from Larissa Arvanitis and Ellen Brown, combining for 6 goals. Theresa Marchello gives it off on the far side. This looks like Isabelle Walker looking for back-to-back goals. Instead, she retreats. Still Elmhurst possession with 30 to shoot. Knable dodges one. Jukes between another and then loses the ball. Outlet pass up to Hannah Johnson. Johnson will flick it upfield. And now Margaret Doan chasing it down on the far side. Inside for Johnson. Cougars badly needing a goal, trailing by 6 with 13 minutes to play. The clock stops here for the whistle. It'll be Elmhurst ball again. All alone in the midfield, the Blue Jays collect. It's Theresa Marchello. Slashing across the restraining line. Sprinting behind the cage and now slowing up. And a violation against the Blue Jays gives it back to Concordia. So these 2 teams trading turnovers. Some unforced mistakes by both teams. And it's now or never for the Cougars. They need to get something going soon. Brian Patterson's squad down by 6. Patterson, the 3rd-year head coach at Concordia University. Just a couple years ago, this team didn't win a game in its inaugural season, but they went 6-11 last year, and they've looked good this year, at least when they've had Crystal Phillips in the cage. And they can't turn that possession into anything, though. First turnover. Here come the Cougars. Margaret Doan with a shot. Deflected behind the cage. Concordia keeps it. Doan was all alone on that last possession trying to create something for Concordia. Especially with how cold it is outside. These players are surely exhausted. 30 degrees. And the wind has gradually picked up. It's slowed down a little. But we did have a pretty good gust coming from west to east here at Langhorse Field earlier tonight. Most of these players with extra layers this evening to stay warm in the western suburbs of Chicago in this matchup between Concordia and Elmhurst. Two schools separated by just about 10 miles here. That shot blocked. It was Anna Keller inside with a look. The shot didn't get to the cage, so the shot clock has not reset. Margaret Doan now racing around a couple defenders, then tossing it way high. Still Concordia ball, though. Pass in for Keller. Knocked away. Still Concordia ball, now with the fresh shot clock. Keller's shot must have been blocked by Keener. Now another shot, but first a whistle and a shooting space violation against Elmhurst. So Keller will have another opportunity. This season's leading scorer for Concordia from the very top of the 8-meter arc. With the Cougars down by 6. She rips from 6 meters and scooped up by Keener. Great anticipation by the goalie. Keener knew exactly where Keller was going with that shot. 7 saves now for the Elmhurst keeper, who came into this game with a save percentage just over 52. And when you're stopping more than half of the shots that you face, you're faring pretty well. Over on the other side for Concordia, you have to give credit to Crystal Phillips, too, because although Elmhurst has 13 goals in this one, Phillips has made 14 saves, so she's also stopping more than half the shots that she's faced. The double team can't rip the ball away from the Blue Jays. Walker with space. She shoots, but first a whistle. A couple of boos from the Blue Jay student section, but because that secondary defender was coming, it would have been a dangerous shot, and thus that's a shooting space violation. So Walker on the top of the 8-meter. Charges on the cage. Whips this one a little high. Still Elmhurst possession behind the net. Walker was looking to build on what's already a 4-goal night for her. She has 2 assists to boot. Ellen Brown spins back out. And the shot clock has expired. Brown just didn't know that the shot clock was dripping away. And so Elmhurst turns it over. Concordia remains in this game, down 6 with 8.5 minutes to play. And when you can string together a few draw controls, you never know what will happen in LaCrosse down the stretch. This game far from over. Brian Patterson knows just that, and so he'll use a timeout with 8 minutes and 14 seconds remaining at Langhorse Field to bring together his troops and see if he can generate a comeback in the final stretch between the Blue Jays and Cougars. Let's recap tonight's game for you really quick here on Bluejay TV. Elmhurst got out to a great start. They led 2-0 in the early going after back-to-back goals from Isabelle Walker. Concordia responded with one of their own 2.5 minutes in, but Elmhurst then dashed away with 6 straight goals. They led 8-1 after Larissa Arvanitis scored at the 12:53 mark in the first half. Concordia would respond about 5 minutes later, 7:38 to go in half number 1. They score goal number 2 of the contest with Sidney Fuller finding the back of the net. However, that represented about a 20-minute dry spell for Concordia because their first goal came with 27:37 on the clock in the first half. It took them 20 minutes before they scored again. And then after scoring another goal, these teams traded 2-0 runs. Back and forth they went with little 2-0 runs. And now here we are, 13-7. Elmhurst leads with 8 minutes and change to play. The difference has been that first half. Or perhaps that first 20 minutes in the first half. Because late in period number 1, Concordia was playing toe-to-toe with this Elmhurst team. Out of the timeout, here come the Cougars. 2-6 on the year, 1-2 on the road. And they're up against it for this final 8 minutes at Langhorse Field. That pass off the stick of LaTurner, out of bounds on the end line, and that will be a turnover. "19 turnovers committed by Concordia tonight to Elmhurst 14, which is an improvement for the Bluejays, who lost the turnover battle 36-27 in their game last Wednesday against Loras here at Langhorse Field. The Blue Jays dropped that one by a score of 14-9, despite 5 goals from Grayskin Knable. Blue Jay ball again as we work late into this April evening. A cold night for lacrosse on the campus of Elmhurst College for a little non-conference action. 31 degrees when this game started. We got a little bit of snow last night in the Chicagoland area. Luckily, the field was all cleared off by game time today. Still about 30 degrees. Feels like 21 here in Elmhurst. And these players continue to battle the chilly conditions as that shot from Johnson is blocked, deflected behind the cage. Still Concordia possession, and still plenty of time on the shot clock. Sidney Fuller on the near side. Faked a pass or two. Now behind the cage, will flip it in. And Keller couldn't collect. The ball back to Fuller behind the net. Couple of different players jabbing at the ball. Fuller has possession with 20 to shoot. Pass inside. Knocked away by a Blue Jay defender. This time Fuller can't corral. The Blue Jays reel it in. That pass behind the cage intercepted. The look inside to a Cougar hit the ground. A bunch of different players fighting for possession. It bounces outside the 8-meter, and now a whistle will stop play. A sloppy and rather messy last 30 seconds of action here at Langhorse Field. Two teams just sparring to maintain control of the ball. Hannah Johnson with a free position shot here. The senior out of Chesapeake, Virginia. Can't turn this into a goal. It bounces out. Pass inside Keller, who has a rip, but she's a bit wide. Keller probably has more pace on her shot than anyone else on the field tonight. She's been willing to shoot from around the 8-meter arc. She's just had trouble finding the back of the net because they aren't the highest percentage of looks when you're taking them from that far out. So here we go with another free position for Concordia on the far side. LaTurner raced in, never put a shot on the cage, lost the ball, and Elmhurst has collected. The ball has been on this end for quite some time, and Concordia has closed the shot margin a fair amount. Now trailing in shots just 35-26. Elmhurst at one point led in shots 13-2. They had possession consistently early in half number one, and that's why they got out to an 8-1 lead. They've done a good job to cling to that 8-1 edge they had. Still up by 6. Johnson stripped of possession here, but there was a foul as she was triple teamed just prior to the restraining line. Now the Cougars get it across. Sidney Fuller flicks it inside. Now behind the cage for Doan. Doan double teamed. One defender waving her stick. Doan spins out of it and whips it past Keener for the goal. Doan rifling the ball into the back of the cage for goal number 3 on the night. The only Cougar with a hat trick on the evening. She now has 17 goals on the year. Just 2 behind her teammate Anna Keller, who leads the team. And after snapping what was a pretty long scoring drought, Brian Patterson will use another timeout. That was the first Concordia goal since 1955. Was on the clock here in half number 2. So that was more than a 16-minute scoring drought. And in fact, that was the first goal either team had scored since 1448 stood on the clock. So almost 11 minutes between goals for either of these teams. Back in the first half, Concordia had a nearly 20-minute scoring drought. And after that stretch, we said, well, if that happens again, if they have another drought of that length, they really have no shot in this contest. And I think that's what happened here. They were down 6 with 15 minutes to go here at Langhorse Field. And if they rallied starting right then and there, maybe they're in it right now and they're down just a goal or 2. With a chance to strike in the final moments here. But instead, they go on a 16-minute scoring drought. The second drought of more than 15 minutes for this Concordia team tonight. And they remain down by 5 with less than 4 minutes to play. Both teams break from their huddles after the Concordia timeout. As we get set for the final minutes here on Bluejay TV. Thanks again for coming aboard. I'm Jason Doro. Our producer is Glenn Liljeberg. And our director, Ashley, is also working hard behind the scenes to bring you the best coverage of tonight's action here in the western suburbs of Chicago. Ball floated up in the air off the draw. And Concordia is able to rip it away. That was Margaret Doan with the draw control. The Cougars quickly looking to strike, but the save made by Keener. Johnson had the chance right in front of net. Now they're forced to reset. Sidney Fuller dodges past one, then she's double teamed. Fuller has 2 goals this evening on 4 shots, 5 ground balls, 8 draw controls as well for the junior out of Bristol, Indiana. Again, she's tasked with triggering the offense here on the near side. Keller will float it far side and then get it back. Concordia needs to move, and they need to move quickly. Here's Doan. Only 4 different Cougars have scored tonight. Pass inside. The ball lost by Doan on the turf. Scooped up by LaTurner. One of those 4 Cougars that have scored tonight. It's been LaTurner, Keller, Doan, and Fuller. And now the Blue Jays strip it away on the far side. Elmhurst looking for the clear and to run away with this ball game. Pass up to Brown. A 3-on-3 for Elmhurst, and Brown will back it out with just 2 minutes to play. Blue Jays looking for the dagger. However, that last turnover may have been the nail in the coffin. Elmhurst with a 5-goal lead. They have led this entire game. That shot sent away. Phillips has been great in net despite her team's struggles defensively. 14 saves now for the sophomore. Elmhurst looking for another goal, but they're called for a charge. The offensive foul gives it back to Concordia with 68 seconds to go. Now it's pedal to the metal. If you're the Cougars, here they come. A quick foul committed by Knable.
1 minute to play.
1 minute and ticking. Cougars across the restraining line. Just 1 goal in the last 17 minutes. A foul inside the fan. It looks like 1 Cougar may have been clipped across the head. Sidney LaTurner was holding her own noggin. There was a whistle before it, though. So Sidney Fuller has a free position shot here. Fuller charges. Went for the sidewinding shot from the left and missed it wide. Still Cougar possession, 30 seconds to play. This one firmly in hand for the Blue Jays. Megan Keener scoops this one up in the cage, and that will just about do it. Keener able to flip it off to a teammate after recording her 11th save of the night. And the Blue Jays, who got out to a commanding 8-1 edge, will close this one out and secure a 13-8 victory against the Concordia Cougars. The majority of this game was back and forth, a very evenly played contest. But Allison Brady had a stellar game plan that pushed the Blue Jays out to a huge 8-1 lead in the early going. And that lead would hold. 4 goals for Ellen Brown, 4 goals for Isabelle Walker, 3 for Grace Knable, and 2 for Larissa Arvanitas. Walker up to 30 goals on the year now, and Grace Knable has matched her total of 40 from last season. And with those 2 marks, Elmhurst not only gets some very stellar play from their top 2 offensive performers, but they get a great victory at home here. With the result, Concordia drops to 2-7 on the year, 1-3 on the road, while the Blue Jays move to 5-4 on the season and 3-1 at Langhorse Field. That'll conclude our coverage here on Bluejay TV. We appreciate you joining us for tonight's game. Again, I'm Jason Doro, the producer Glenn Liljeberg, and the director Ashley. A big thank you to all of them for their work tonight. Again, your final score from Langhorse Field: the Elmhurst College Blue Jays 13, Concordia Chicago 8. The Blue Jays improved to 5-4 on the 2018 season.